Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Top 10 players for this Miami Hurricanes program heading into 2024. And for the Miami Hurricane fans who've been listening for the last couple of weeks and months, you guys know that I had an absolute field day coming up with this top 10 list. Now, it was extremely fun to do. It was extremely difficult to do as well, leaving out a ton of good football players, all ACC caliber guys that are not going to be in this top 10 list. I've been extremely vocal that this is one of the most talented rosters heading into 2024, and doing this practice really allowed me to see something that we haven't really talked about for this Hurricanes program over the last couple of weeks, and that is not only is the top end talent in a really good spot for this Hurricanes program. Top 5 players that we're going to be talking about are all, in my mind, NFL caliber guys, but the depth of this program is extremely impressive. Again, leaving a ton of really good football players off of this list. And you take a look at the goals that the Miami Hurricanes have in 2024. It is winning an ACC championship, making a run in the college football playoffs. If you want to be your best team in the months of November and December, you have to be deep. And this Miami Hurricanes program is extremely deep. Now, before we get into it, just want to give a quick shout out to the Miami Hurricane fans. The amount of support you guys have shown over the last couple of weeks and months, breaking down all these transfer portal commitments. It's been an absolute blast for me to talk this program, but the support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, let it fly in the comment section. I left a lot of good football players off of this list. You guys want to drop some players I'm sleeping on, drop some players or drop your top 10 in the comment section as well. I learned a ton from you guys. The best part about doing this is talking ball with you guys. We'll chop it up in the comment section. And without further ado, let's get into it. And I want to go to a transfer portal wide receiver in Sam Brown coming in at number 10. And I want to go back to a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about what kind of wide receiver do we want to see Miami bring in through the portal. The description was pretty much Sam Brown, right? A big physical boundary wide receiver that has proven production at the Power 5 level. That is Sam Brown, 62 catches for over 800 yards in the Big 12 for Houston last year. But something that's really grown on me as I've dove into Sam Brown is 411 yards after the catch, 20 missed tackles forced. Not only can Sam Brown be that vertical, big-bodied boundary receiver threat, but he's a guy that you can get the football to in space, let him operate after the catch. There was a significant emphasis for Houston last year to get the ball to Sam Brown and let him go make plays. I think this is a guy that can hurt opposing defenses in a variety of different ways, clocking in at number 10. Now going to number 9, and a player that has been so solid for the Hurricanes and just flies under the radar is left tackle Jalen Rivers. And a lot of people want to talk about some of the young talent on this offensive line. And you guys know I'm a massive fan of guys like Maui Noah. But because of all the emphasis going on some of the young talent, a guy like Jalen Rivers just flies under the radar as being a damn solid left tackle for this Hurricanes program in a college football landscape where so many teams are looking for just solid tackle play. Miami has had one with Jalen Rivers. You go back to last year, only 3 sacks allowed, 6 quarterback hurries. You don't find many more reliable tackles in the country than a guy like Jalen Rivers. Exactly what you're looking for. Coming in at number 9, you go to number 8, and we're going to talk about Elijah Alston, who, again, another guy that I think flew under the radar as a transfer portal addition because there were some big names that the Miami Hurricanes landed that we're going to talk about in the next couple of players. Talk about an elite pass rusher, Elijah Alston, in 22 quarterback hurries, a 20% pass rush win rate. A lot of people in the comments section asking me why I'm so high on this Hurricanes team. And yes, Cam Ward comes to mind, how good this offense can be. Guys like Damian Martinez, that certainly is at the top of the list. But you look at this pass rush and how important it is to have a good front seven in an elite pass rush. Elijah Alston just certainly adds to that, right? 11 tackles for a loss, 6 sacks. Again, a very productive pass rusher that the defensive coaching staff has a lot of experience with. They would not have brought Elijah Alston to this Hurricanes defense if they did not think he could make that jump from the group of 5 to the Power 5 level. Elijah Alston coming in at number 8. Now going to number 9, I'm going to go with the running back, Mark Fletcher. We're going to have 2 running backs on this list. I'm sure you guys can guess the next running back we're going to talk about. you look at Mark Fletcher and say it wasn't necessarily a crazy true freshman year for Mark Fletcher, right? 105 carries for 514 yards, average 5 yards per carry. But you start diving into the reps that he had, 3.8 yards per carry after contact. You don't see true freshmen come to the Power 5 level and deal with opposing defenses from a physicality standpoint like Mark Fletcher. He's fired up that Damian Martinez has been added. We've been talking about this a lot. An elite offensive line with two running backs that are about as physical running backs as you'll see in all of college football. This is going to be a running game that Miami is going to lean on. And then you look at 33 missed tackles forced on only 104 carries. He deals with contact. He can make people miss at the second level. I think Mark Fletcher is much better than the freshman year numbers necessarily show. And having Damian Martinez in the backfield, that's going to be a running back room that not a lot of teams are going to want to tackle 30 plus times a game. Mark Fletcher coming in at number 7. I expect a big year going into his second year. Now, a late addition, a guy that we had to go and figure out where to slot him, Tennessee edge rusher Tyler Barron. And this is another one of those guys that you talk about why we are high on this Hurricanes program. We're going to have 3 edge rushers that we talked about, and Elijah Austin, Tyler Barron, and you guys know we're going to talk about Ruben Bain a little bit later. And Tyler Barron's gotten it done at the SEC level. And I think a lot of people ask me the question, would I rather take Elijah Austin or Tyler Barron? Obviously, Miami doesn't have to choose. They get them both heading into 2024. I went with Tyler Barron because he's done it at an extremely high level in the SEC. Talk about 31 quarterback hurries, a 17% pass rush win rate, 16 run stops. And we talk about this a lot. Tyler Barron is a guy that is very good in the run game, heavy hands, long length, a guy that can get off blocks. You talk about the recipe for this Hurricanes program. It is winning on first and second down against the run, getting that pass rush unit on the field, and really pinning their ears back and getting after the quarterback. A guy like Tyler Barron can get it done in both the run game and in the pass rushing, is extremely versatile as a edge rusher that can kick into the 3-tech. You saw him even get some reps as a nose tackle at times. This is a guy that when you want to get your best 4 in the pass rush, you can kick Tyler Barron into the inside, have Austin and Ruben Bain come off the edge, and maybe Akeem Mesidor or Tyler Barron on the inside. That is just an absolute elite pass rush for this Miami Hurricanes program. Tyler Barron, a guy, gets it done in the run game, gets it done in the pass rush, coming in at number 6. Now getting into our top 5, I'm going to go with Francisco Maui-Noa. This was one of the best linebackers in the country last year, led the team with 82 tackles, led the team with 18 tackles for a loss. You talk about a linebacker that gets downhill. This is exactly the linebacker that you're looking for. 34 run stops, that led the team. This is a linebacker that combines pretty much everything you want. He can go sideline to sideline. He can operate in space, but he can also come up into the run game, be extremely physical, can also get after the pass rusher. You talk about Lance Guidry saying getting really creative in terms of how he wants to scheme up some pressures. 15 quarterback hurries for Francisco Maui-Noa last year, 4th on the team. And you start taking a look at some of the pass rushers Miami had last year. To be 4th on the team at the linebacker spot with quarterback hurries, when you have a linebacker that can get it done in the run game, ramp it up as a pass rusher, this is a chess piece for this Miami Hurricanes program. One of the better linebackers in the country, and he's only coming in at number 5. You go to the top 4 here, Xavier Restrepo. You guys know this is my guy, and he's not necessarily the prototypical wide receiver 1 that you look up in a dictionary, but you take a look at what he was able to do with subpar quarterback play in 2023. He got for 85 catches, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. You start looking into Xavier Restrepo and say, it's not necessarily the flash that you got with Jacoby George or Colby Young last year, but there was a reason that he was far and away the most productive wide receiver, because he knows how to create separation in his route trees. He's a quarterback friendly. He's a quarterback friendly pass catcher, I should say. He can beat man coverage with his clean route running. He can sit it down in zone coverage, become a quarterback friendly target. You look at Cam Ward and how he likes to use wide receivers. You go back to his time at Washington State, what kind of wide receivers he went to. He went to his slot wide receivers. I think you're looking at one of the more dynamic quarterback wide receiver duos between Xavier Restrepo and Cam Ward. Getting into our top 3, we're going to go to Damian Martinez, which again, I think Damian Martinez might be a top 3 running back in the country, and he's only slotting in at number 3 for this Hurricanes program. The combination of Mark Fletcher and Damian Martinez, that is going to be a bear for defenses to deal with. Went for over 1,000 yards at Oregon State. And I would remind people that was only year 2 of his college football career. So there is still some physical maturation to go on for Damian Martinez going into year 3. 57 missed forced tackles, the number that I want to focus on that not a lot of people talk about. When you talk Damian Martinez, you talk about running the football hard, dealing with contact. You guys see that 3.8 yards per carry after contact. He also had 39 carries that went for 10 plus yards. Damian Martinez can also hit the big play. He can make those chunk plays happen in the run game. And you combine a running back that can get it done between the tackles, but when he gets to the second level, can make some of those explosive plays. That is exactly what you're looking for in that running back room. And you talk about staying on schedule, turning those 2nd and 8s to 2nd and 6s, turning those 3rd and 6s to 3rd and 3s. That's Damian Martinez. He falls forward. He deals with contact. One of the best running backs in the country, coming in at number 3. And then you go to our top 2. We're going to go Ruben Bain first. And I can't remember the last time I've seen a true freshman come into the Power 5 level and physically dominate like Ruben Bain did, right? An 18% pass rush win rate, 26 quarterback hurries. He also is a phenomenal run defender as well. And you start talking about Tyler Barron, Ruben Bain being not only some elite pass rushers, but also being guys that are so good in the run game. That's exactly what you're looking for. And I think what's most exciting about a guy like Ruben Bain Jr. is he really relied on just being a physical freak in 2023 as a true freshman. I think my question is what happens when Jason Taylor really gets in his bag with Ruben Bain Jr., teaches him how to use that elite athleticism and kind of polish up some of that pass rushing toolkit, you might say. I think Ruben Bain Jr. not only going to physically mature going into a second year, but also from a technical standpoint, sharpen up some of those tools. You're looking at one of the best edge rushers that we see in the country. And then going into number 1, and it's going to be Cam Ward. Now, you could argue that Ruben Bain could be 1. Damian Martinez could be 1. I would even take some arguments that Xavier Restrepo is the best player on this Miami Hurricanes team. I went with Cam Ward, and not only has he been one of the best quarterbacks in the country the last 2 years, he's coming into a Hurricanes offense that, one, I think he fits exactly what Shannon Dawson wants to do, right? Getting the ball out quick, accurately, on time, letting his wide receivers operate after the catch, something that Tyler Van Dyke really struggled with for the Hurricanes in 2023, but he's going to have elite pass catchers on the outside. He is going to have a very good offensive line with a very good run game. We didn't see Washington State have any semblance of a run game during his time at Washington State. What happens when you give him better talent, you give him a better offensive line, you give him a better run game? I think you might even see a step in the right direction from Cam Ward. And we've kind of said this all along. Cam Ward was a guy that, physically, one of the more gifted arms that you see in the country, probably needs a little bit more polish on some things, could certainly take place going into 2024. You are looking at, in my mind, potentially a Heisman caliber quarterback. And I don't know if you'll win the Heisman because I do think it will be a lot of the run game as well with that offensive line and running backs. But you combine the running game with how good I think Cam Ward can be, you're going to see an exceptional year from Cam Ward. Again, a Miami team that won a lot of games with below average quarterback play. What happens when that below average quarterback play goes to some of the best quarterback play that you might see in the country? That's really why we're fired up for this Hurricanes program. Now, I do want to give a few shout outs to guys that didn't make this list, but are legit all ACC caliber guys. Nes Cooper on the offensive line, Francis Maui Noah not on the list, but certainly could be a top 5 player for this Hurricanes program going into year 2. Akeem Mesidor, a guy that 12 months ago was certainly a top 10 player on this program. If he gets back to healthy, you're looking at a top 10 guy, in my opinion. Zach Carpenter coming in from Indiana, Wesley Bassane at that linebacker spot. There is so much talent on this team. The top end talent, it's certainly there. The depth is certainly there. That's why we're high in this program heading into 2024. We'll cut it at that. Would love to hear from you guys. Players I'm sleeping on, guys that if you want to drop your top 10 list, certainly do that as well. Appreciate y'all rocking with the fellas. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.